In 2015, developer Bill Stenger led a groundbreaking ceremony for a new biotech company in Newport, Vermont.
In 16 months, we will have a ribbon-cutting ceremony that will show off one of the most impressive technology buildings in all of Vermont, and to be quite honest with you, in anywhere in the United States.
ANC Bio Vermont was meant to manufacture medical technology and rent lab space to biotech researchers nearby.
This cutting-edge bioscience company will be opening in 2014.
Today, the site is empty. In 2016, SEC civil charges characterized the biotech project as nearly a complete fraud. Now, a federal grand jury has charged the developers and their partners in a 14-count criminal indictment.
We are here in Newport to announce federal criminal fraud charges in connection with the ANC Vermont project. Put simply, the defendants devised and stood by a bogus business plan while they made little effort to formulate a legitimate business plan.
Prosecutors allege that Bill Stenger, Ariel Quiros, Bill Kelly, and Alex Choi conspired to defraud ANC Bio investors. The biotech campus was part of a massive suite of projects that included new facilities at the Jay Peak Ski Resort and a planned multi-use development in downtown Newport.
150 investors will be welcome to this project.
The developers pitched the projects to foreign investors who hoped they would get green cards through the federal EB-5 program.
If an EB-5 visa is something that you're interested in for yourself or your family, there's no better regional center in the United States to associate with than the Vermont Regional Center.
The mainstream press credited Stenger for his vision of revitalizing the Northeast Kingdom.
For years, on the town office's door in Newport, they had a "Thank you, Bill Stenger" sign. And he won the Man of the Year award in 2011 from the Vermont Chamber of Commerce. He was thought of as a real hero in the state.
I think about it this way. I won the Powerball. I have $500 million to work with. So what I've had the pleasure of being able to do is help create the blueprint of how that money can be invested.
Vermont politicians were also eager to show their support.
It will create short-term jobs, but it will create long-term jobs where people can build their homes, they can live here, they can send their kids to school.
Jobs, jobs, jobs for the 21st century.
Vermont is the only EB-5 program that covers the entire state of Vermont and is audited by the state of Vermont.
So grab a shovel, let's put some dirt in the air.
But by the time of the ANC Bio groundbreaking, that started to change.
You might notice that the local representatives and senators and our governor are not here today.
There was a sense that state officials were trying to distance themselves from Bill Stenger and Ariel Quiros.
But many of them send their regards, their best wishes. They wish they were here.
It seemed pretty obvious from my research at that point that the project was completely fraudulent. They were talking about stem cell research there at the facility. They were going to manufacture artificial organs. They were going to have white rooms, clean rooms available for labs. And in my research, I found that they hadn't obtained the patents and FDA approval they needed for all of these potential activities at the biomedical facility. So it just never seemed plausible to me. And there was a lot of self-dealing involved. They had decided to take $50 million and investor funds right away to pay off distribution rights and technology rights to ANC Bio Korea, which was a fraudulent project in South Korea.
In 2016, Anne traveled to South Korea to get more information on ANC Bio.
I wanted to see whether there was any activity at the factory in Pyeongtaek. You know, it looks like something you'd see in any office park in America. And we went to interview the real estate firm that was involved in leasing the property at one point. And the couple at the real estate firm said, well, you know, it never seemed like there was any activity at the factory. The parking lot was empty. There weren't any really employees there. We always thought it was kind of dubious, you know. There was an office in Seoul that I went to visit, and that was even stranger than the factory. There was still a lot of ANC bio paraphernalia and kind of signage on the building, but that was even emptier than the facility in Pyeongtaek.
We, ANC Bio, will make your dream come true.
The Korean facilities had been auctioned off, and Choi was convicted for fraud. According to the federal indictment, the Vermont team hid all of this from investors.
The defendants regularly touted the state's support for the JPEAK EB5 projects in selling the ANC Vermont project. But of course, the EB5 program only functioned correctly if project developers told the truth.
Alex Choi had 4 or 5 different companies that he was moving money around in, and there were weird buyouts, weird acquisitions, weird transfers of funds.
One set of transactions involved the Vermont team paying ANC Korea for distribution rights, money that went back to the 4 men.
Quiros, Choi, and Kelly worked together to decide how much money to take from immigrant investors and how much to divert to Quiros and Choi. Long story short, although the defendants made little progress on project construction, they sent more than $47 million to the use of Quiros.
They had a meeting in Korea in which they decided how to divvy up the money that they were going to get from those technology and distribution rights. So that kind of surprised me because Stenger has maintained his complete innocence all along, and this seemed like a really clear instance in which he was going to make out financially on the project.
Am I pronouncing your last name correctly?
Quiros,
Mr. Quiros, okay.
Quiros, Stenger, and Kelly were arraigned in federal court on May 22nd. Alex Choi is still at large.
And what is your plea to these accusations, guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Stenger.
The 3 other defendants pleaded not guilty to the charges.
Community-wide economic development is like a puzzle, and everyone plays a role in the puzzle. As the pieces of the puzzle come together, a picture is created. This facility is going to be a remarkable technology facility